impose your religious belief on somebody. You can convince people, try to persuade people to subscribe to your religious orientation, but we shouldn't. We should do away with fundamentalism. That is where people believe that their belief. If you don't subscribe to your belief, then you don't deserve to live. That is what we should discourage. But having a common ground is an impossible reality. It can't happen. It can never happen. We can never arrive at the same level. It will never happen.
I think the world would be boring to have a uniform reality. It's just like I agree with you. It's just impossible for that to happen. Um, Human nature would not even allow it, right? Our natural selves would not allow it. We are brutish. We are selfish. We are, killers. If left unchecked, human nature is just not that beautiful. There are some good in this world, but like they say, you would never know, somebody's what somebody can do until person is pushed to a wall, or like into a certain situation. That is where our real nature is revealed. So
Mm.
talking about bringing some sort of uniformity, I think like Prof said, it's impossible. We can learn to tolerate each other, learn to respect each other's opinion. Um, that is, I believe, all we can do at this time. We cannot try to right. So imposition of our beliefs, or like our religion or our culture on others would definitely breed wars. Would definitely it wouldn't help the situation. What we have to learn is the morality of respecting each other, the morality of tolerating each other's religion and beliefs, and seeing ourselves as human, because we all have like two eyes, one nose, one mouth. There are things that there's more we have in common that we do not, and that is where we have to look at it from. And even with that, it's still not going to be perfect. It's just not going to be
even
perfect.
even within the same religions. I mean, when you take
Yeah.
Islam, there are several sects of Islam. In fact, if you take Christianity, even the charismatic within the charismatic front, there are
All right.
several groups. If you take the Pentecostal, there are several. Why would I mean why do you have Pentecost? Why do you have Apostolic? Why do we have
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in fact, Roman Catholic Church used to be the universal church until Martin Luther
Right.
decided to question certain practices in the church and then broke away. Then we have the Lutheran Church, Anglican Church, Presbyterian Church. Then from the Presbyterian Church, a lot of Methodists, a whole lot of issues, you know. So even within the same religion, there is no uniformity, let alone talking about the whole big world. I mean, bringing, for example, Hinduism and Christianity to uniform to reach a uniform, a common ground. I mean, that is I don't know how to put it, but it is just an illusion.
If you look at the basic tenets of these religions that we are talking about, right? I think there is something that we could find in terms of like what we are all trying to achieve. We're all trying to achieve a peaceful world where people will respect the law and order and be morally upright and all of that. But people have different ways of achieving that and are not ready to compromise on that. And so that is what makes it hard for, us to achieve that uniformity that, you were talking about. Um,
I I agree with you that religion, when it comes to the why questions, why do we even serve God? Why do we do this? They kind of postulate almost same ideas. But when it comes to how we do it, they have divergent
yeah,
opinions.
That
I
is the
agree
point.
with you.
right.
That is the point.
But my initial question is this, okay? And let me ask below this: things that are real, okay? For
Okay,
example,
let me just sorry,
oh, okay, go ahead,
not
finish
re,
yours.
yeah, that question you asked, 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. non the law of non-contradiction. That is, I mean, these are scientific principles, right? Science
Mathematical
operates
principles, yeah.
mathematical. Okay, mathematical and scientific. Well, I mean, math science is part of mathematics. If I put it that way, so that's
Yeah.
what I mean by scientific principles. I'm not just talking about science as a discipline, but science believes in observation, experimentation, and then what is it? There are some principles. I think we have observation, deduction, and something something. Uh, I'm trying to figure out my science. Yeah, science operates on the basis of logic. So they experience something, they try to do the analysis, and they want to arrive at a conclusion based on what the what the evidence suggests. Right? That's how science operates. Religion doesn't operate that way. Religion doesn't. In fact, most religions do not even. I mean, it doesn't operate on the principle of rationality. In other words, religion mostly doesn't even subscribe to using rational tools to do. I mean, logical reasoning. Religion does not largely operate on logic because this is about faith. I believe that God exists, and that is it. I've never seen God, but I believe that He exists. If you want to question how is God like, where did you see God? I mean, that is scientific, and religion doesn't encourage that. Religion doesn't encourage using logical reasoning. So most of the time, it just based on conviction, and then you should believe it, whether you understand or not. Believe it. When you begin to question, then you are seen as a deviant. I mean, you are uh, in Christianity they say you are lost. You are veering off the path, and you need some deliverance.
So basically, are you saying religion is unreasonable, right?
Well,
Irrational,
I will not use the
illogical.
word here reasonable, but I think it doesn't really make use of rational thoughts. Religion doesn't, yes, sometimes, but largely it doesn't encourage using rational thoughts to do appreciation.
Then that
Because I
don't
go
you
to church.
think that actually contradicts? I don't know how old you are, but so far, the things you prioritize most in the universe today, don't you think that philosophy basically contradict that? Because
Can you
let
give
me
an
give you an
example?
example. Yeah?
Okay.
Just imagine you walk in a room and you have four people talking, but they are not making sense. The message is incoherent. You can't really, grab the intricacy or subtlety of what they are saying. What do? You walk away, basically. Human beings are naturally hardwired with logical reasoning. Now, if there is a system of thoughts or belief that doesn't inculcate, the very powerful tools that has always, lead in the survival of human beings, which is logic, reason, knowledge, and information and stuff like that, then how can we trust the reliability of that particular idea or religion or whatever
Hmm.
if we cannot rationally, substantiate their claims? If we cannot critically analyze the claims therein and find conclusions or draw inferences from whatever we have on our hands logically and reasonably, then why do you think we really need religion in order to
Okay, so let me respond to you
say?
before others come in. I think the whole life of human existence, or the sometimes certain things we do are not based on logic. For example, if I'm going to travel to Accra today, okay, I cannot really do a logical analysis to see what to know whether I will get an accident on the way or not. Can you predict that?
It's just like a scientist, going to take dinner uh, in a hotel. He can scientifically prove that he wouldn't be knocked down by a car on the way home. I
Thank you.
understand in human
So
life.
it is not everything that can be pinned down to logical reasoning, and that is where God comes in. That we, as human beings, or as we may try to be as scientific as possible, and I love science, but we have our limitations.
So
The
God
fact
of the
that you are
gaps,
able to,
basically.
the fact that you are not able to arrive at a certain logical conclusion doesn't mean that that thing doesn't exist.
So
Mm,
basically, God of the gaps, right?
mm. Bilo, what do you think? The whole idea of religion and the idea that you might somehow apply logic to a certain level, but according to him, there is something that basically transcends reality. There are things that actually, even if you use logical reasoning and stuff like that, there's a point in your life that you will need faith in order to make decisions because you never have enough evidence. Evidence are always never enough. We only have what we call beyond reasonable doubts, but you don't have enough evidence to establish truth. That is why scientists themselves they move away from ideas like this is the truth. We can prove this, we can prove that. Now they use ideas
Hmm.
like probable and improbable. They are
Thank you.
no more sticking to um, before those ideas where they would say, I tell you, this is a fact. You're moving away from all these ideas. Now, from your perspective, what do you think? Prof is telling you that religion doesn't necessarily have to be rational. But my question is it reasonable for us to put our life on it? People pick guns and kill because of religion, basically. Things that you cannot rationally assess. Below.
Good, good question, actually. And what Prof is saying is true. Religion doesn't have to be rational. That is the basics of religion. Because if it's rational, not a lot of people will follow. So the idea of religion has to do with rewards and punishment. You get rewarded for something that you should normally do as a human being, and you get punished for something that you shouldn't do in the first place. So, for example, like I stated earlier, I'm an atheist, so I deal with relativity a lot. So, for example, if I see an old woman walking, to me, naturally, I'm supposed to help her cross the road. I'm not expecting anything in return, right? But a religious person would do it in the hopes of getting, increasing his lifespan on this earth, or pretty much, getting some sort of rewards after death. Um, but where so at that part, I agree with Prof. It doesn't always have to be rational. It just has to be consistent. Because at the end goal, basically, not ancient religion, modern religion's end goal is for the betterment of humanity. But at the same time, everyone is also trying to stick their self out there to be the best, and that is where the problem comes in. Now, I just want to piggyback a little bit on Prof's statement saying that it transcends beyond logical reasoning. Well, in as much as I agree, the answer God is not a solution because that falls into the ideology of God of the gaps. So then it means that when I cannot find an answer to something, let me put God there for the meantime. And when I do find the answer, I can shift the goalposts and take God out and put him back somewhere later. Take for example, there was some time in this hour where we actually had the idea that there are thunder gods. We didn't know how thunder and lightning was formed. Zeus was actually killing people. I remember Galileo actually was crucified because of saying the Earth is actually not flat. And this was because there wasn't much information to make his point, to prove his point. So then he has to be killed for being a heathen. Um, there's been so many instances where people have actually been murdered just for saying the right things, but because they said it at the wrong time, they had to lose their life. So when I'm asked a question that does it does rationality transcend beyond what we see today, I would say yeah. Obviously, there are some things that we cannot explain, but I wouldn't provide an excuse that it's probably God, because even if it's God, okay, let's just assume that okay, this is a God principle. When we compare the God that we sometimes create at the end, there is no way it doesn't appear in any of the religious books. Those gods in the religious books are totally different from where we go in life and then go out and say, okay, we can find answers for this, and that is God. I think that's what I can add to what Prof said. But yeah, religion doesn't have to be irrational. In fact, it is not rational. 'Cause like I said, if it was, not a lot of people would be following it.
Mm, wow. So the next question is, okay, this will go to below, and then Pro after you answer, Prof and